Are you dreaming about travelling again? I bet you are. So give yourself a break and listen to my brand new travel podcast. It's made for people like you, by people like you. And in these podcasts, there will be interviews with different types of travellers and the strange characters that I've met on the road, with stories and anecdotes from the last 32 years of my continuous backpacking and working around the world. Also, there'll be cynical destination descriptions and the occasional travel tip to smooth your journey. And for all the squeamish listeners out there, I just want to say that no studio was used or abused in the making of these podcasts or any of the recordings. So please check it out, and I hope you like it. Oh, and by the way, my name's Alan. I just want to set the scene here because we're actually in Faro in Portugal, in the south of Portugal. It's a lovely sunny day. The grass is green. The sea is blue. What else is there to do? This week, the interviewee is a lovely young lady from the Netherlands. I will let her introduce herself and then I'll ask her some questions.
Well, hello, my name is Kim. I'm from the Netherlands. I live in Amsterdam. Well, since last week I arrived here in Portugal, Algarve.
Okay, why are you here at the moment?
Well, the reason I'm here, it was a little bit of a spontaneous plan, to be honest. I think, 2 weeks before I flew to Faro, where I am now, I just felt like I needed to just escape my life back home, the studies I do, work I do. Yeah, I just kind of miss traveling. So I just booked the flights to Faro. Was planning on just staying 1 week. My flight was actually supposed to go back home 2 days ago. But yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, how many languages do you speak?
How many languages? Actually only Dutch and English. I do know some Spanish, but I'm still learning.
Do you speak Portuguese?
I don't. I want to learn, so I'm trying now.
Practicing.
Just the basic words.
Okay. As a single girl traveling, do you have many problems on the road?
To be really honest, I actually never really felt unsafe, or never really felt more unsafe than I did at home in Amsterdam, for example. For me, I just have the feeling that everywhere you do have to be careful. I think in any place there are places you have to be careful. Even in Amsterdam, where I live, you shouldn't be.
Possibly more so in Amsterdam than here.
Yeah.
And what sort of traveller are you?
Well, I would say I kind of changed in the way I'm traveling. When I just started traveling, I felt like I had to plan things sometimes. I think the first time I traveled alone, I did plan, but then I realized my plans changed so many times. I think...
Because the best plan is no plan.
It is true. And it just made it easy, I think, about traveling alone. Because even if you do make plans, you can change them anytime you want. And I feel like the best thing about traveling is having plans.
Okay.
But then the moment that they change, because you meet people, or because you
you go into a hostel where there's a party and you didn't plan for a party.
True. You didn't plan to drink.
Or sleep in the next day.
True.
What is your passion in life?
Oh, my passion in life, I feel like saying is maybe also traveling, but I think that's a little bit of a typical answer.
What's the one thing that you want to do every day, and if you don't do it, you haven't had a good day?
Explore. I think.
Explore, okay.
I think it's...
that's a good one.
Yeah, what I feel like it's when you're traveling, I feel like it's like kind of finding this child that's inside you.
Your child inside you.
Yeah, I feel like for some reason we have this feeling that when we grow up,
you
becoming...
You shouldn't be childish.
Yeah, I think becoming an adult, we kind of have this feeling that means we have to be serious, and we have to have this day-to-day job, and we have to plan, and and I feel like traveling just makes you explore and
become a child again.
Yeah, become a child again.
That's right. No, that's perfect. Do you prefer to travel solo?
Oh, I prefer, definitely.
Why is that?
I feel like traveling for me is the ultimate feeling of freedom. And I feel like it's way more free if I'm traveling alone, because I feel like it's much easier to meet people, and it's easier to just go with the flow. I think like if you're together, you always have to if you want to change plans, for example, I say, so it's you can do it any time, any moment, any second, any minute. Otherwise,
That's right.
If you're traveling together, you always have to.
Well, yes, it's a give and take a bit. And
Yeah.
You have to, and if you come to a fork in the road,
Yeah.
you know, one might want to go left and the other right. Do you ever have a problem getting lost, or do you like getting lost?
I like to get lost, to be honest. But the thing is, I think sometimes it's just a little hard to get lost. Or not hard to get lost, but I think nowadays it's just so easy. You've got internet, you've got Google, you can look up anything, But
when you get lost, you're not afraid or frightened, or you just see it as another challenge or another...
I do see it as another challenge. I think actually traveling learned me a lot about this, because first of all, I'm really bad at making decisions. And second of all...
That's perfect for traveling, because you book a plane, no, I won't take that, and stuff like that. How important is food? Because when you travel, food is quite a big thing, I think. It's because you're in different places with different food, and I think a lot of people travel for the food.
Yeah, to be honest, that's also one of my my favorite parts about traveling. Just trying everything, and also maybe because in Holland we don't really have we don't really have a food culture, and I think it says a lot about the people. Also, I think it's not just the food itself; it's also everything around it. Getting together with people. Actually, 2 days ago, I met quite some people here in this hostel that also kind of got stuck here. And there was this one guy who organized Friendsgiving.
What was that again?
Friendsgiving instead of Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So we just met each other like some days ago, and he just said like every year since 4 years he's organizing this Friendsgiving with the new friends he made.
Oh, okay.
And apparently every year these are different friends, which is interesting.
Yeah, he's traveling.
Yeah, it just made me feel really grateful. Also, just sharing food, sharing stories, sharing.
But I don't know if you've done this yet, but sometimes when you travel and you go to a decent hostel, they'll put out a supper or a dinner or whatever, and you'll sit down at a long table with a lot of people drinking wine and eating. And sometimes that can be fantastic. You know, it can be absolutely awesome, and you meet a lot of new people. And also the conversation can be quite radical. Is that the sort of thing you like?
I do enjoy it a lot. I think it's the dynamic when you're doing these kind of things or organize these kind of things. It's really interesting because it's usually a lot of people from, first of all, different backgrounds as in countries where they come from, but also ages,
and
which is
different interests.
Yeah,
ages
different
and
interests.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that brings a lot of interesting subjects and stuff to the table, which is different at the dinner table than maybe with your family or friends from back home that might do the same studies or might do the same, for a long time already.
And they're people you know anyway, so...
Yeah.
Has anybody been your inspiration to travel?
To be honest, that's not really one person specifically. Or, well, let's say my inspiration, I think it's kind of... I became inspired by traveling, to travel more and more and more.
As a child, where did it all start for you? Because that's an important thing.
Yeah.
As a child, did your parents take you traveling, or did you just go off with your...
No, my parents did take me traveling. Well, my dad works in the Navy since he was 17 already, so...
Oh, okay. Have you had to move around because he's in the Navy?
Yeah, we did actually. Well, we didn't have to, but I did live on Curaçao, the island in the Caribbean. Yeah, for 7 years, which was interesting. I went there the first time when I was 6. We moved there until I was 9. Then we moved back to Holland.
What are the other islands around there? Is that near Cuba and Jamaica?
You have Aruba. Not sure if you know Bonaire. It's not very famous islands. No. I think some countries, but it's just above Venezuela. Yeah, that's
okay. So it's quite low down. It's not up outside of Mexico, for example.
No. It's quite low down. Yeah. Yeah, and then I moved back to Holland, and then I was 14, and then my parents, we got the chance again to go there, but then for 4 years, parents asked me and my sister, because I have a younger sister, if we would like to do that, and I actually really did. So from 14 until 18, I lived there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's just interesting because you're young, and you see a whole different lifestyle. Yeah. And I think that, not just lifestyle, but music, food, the whole thing.
True.
And that brings me to the next question. How important is music when you travel?
It is very important to me, I think, but it's not specifically only when I travel, but because I also dance, so maybe that's that
really?
explains a little bit.
Okay.
And I think music brings people together. It's a really important factor that just brings people together.
It's one of those things we have in life that actually evokes emotions in a lot of people, and different emotions, but it's almost instant.
Yeah.
I could hear a tune from the radio and go, oh yeah, I was in Mexico then, or I was in South America, or I was in China or something. So just by listening to the tune of the time, and it also picks out the year as well.
True.
Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of songs then, they specifically remind you of a time, a place, about people, how music can bring people together, I think. I was at this hostel and there they had like 2 guitars, and there was this guy who had his own harmonica.
Harmonica.
And there was another guy who had a ukulele, and just at some point everyone was just playing, and some people were dancing, and other people were singing.
This is a great atmosphere.
It's amazing.
Now I will ask you some naff questions. Things like, what is your favourite country or the favourite place to visit?
I find it really hard to answer that because I think all places have something special. But if I have to say something, I would say Australia, and specifically the Outback, which has something. Yeah, it just has something magical. I can't really explain it.
Yeah. Look, I've got goosebumps. You just talking about it.
Yeah. Just you're driving for hours, and the only thing you see is just like this one road, and just slowly like the landscape that's just changing, and that's it. No, and nothing else. Like you're just driving for 6, 8, 7, 8 hours.
Did you go to Darwin?
I did.
Then can I just say, did you go to Catherine, which was before Darwin?
I did too.
And did you turn right or left, depends which way you were coming, and go towards Brisbane? Yeah, I think it's called the Stuart Highway or something.
I haven't taken this road, but I've been in Brisbane, but through a different way.
From Catherine to Brisbane, 6 days.
Wow, yeah, but with a 4-wheel drive and
this was with a German girl and a Australian guy.
Oh, actually, there was something funny.
Yeah, please tell me a funny story.
Well, there was so we were in the Outback, but I met some people on the way, and we rented like a camper van, and we thought, okay, there's this one road that's much longer than the other roads, but the road that's longer has it's a good way, like it has good asphalt.
Asphalt, yeah.
And the other one, they said like it should be a little bit hard to drive on it, but we thought like we can do it.
Were you in a 4x4 or not?
We were not, and that's where it went wrong.
Okay, good.
Because I think this was only 30 kilometers. We were like, okay, we can do this, and it took us 6 hours.
Wow. Was it wet? Was it muddy? What was the problem?
It was just all like rocks, and it was crazy. And we thought like, okay, we can do this quite quickly. So there was this sunset, and it was getting dark already, and we drove I think for even 4 hours just in the dark, and then we finally arrived at this. Well, they said it was a camping spot. There was just no one there. There was nothing, not even a toilet, nothing. We're officially allowed to camp there. And we arrived there, and of course it was completely dark. And then we had the lights were turned on, of course, of the camper van. And we drove on this camping spot, and there was just this huge bones. Probably was from a wild horse or something, but then
a skeleton.
Yeah, skeleton. Skeleton. Yeah. I was thinking,
you're thinking you could die there and end up like the horse.
We were a little scared this night, but it was a very interesting experience. And actually, I had one of the best sunsets there that I saw, so it was worth it.
Again, my listeners know this, but when I was in lockdown, I was in the north of Spain. And at night, several of the people would come out and go, oh, look at that sunset. I said, you've never been to Australia then, have you? Because in Australia, sunrises and sunsets are just awesome.
Yeah. It's true. And also the skies at night, like the stars, it's just, you can see the whole Milky Way. It's like, you can't
It's almost you can scoop the stars in. You know, it feels that close. And in fact, I had the same experience when I was in the Sahara. Just the stars are in your face, and there's just so many of them. And it's like you could scoop them up. Scoop them up. Okay, what's your favourite form of travelling?
My favourite form of travelling, I realised that is to just book a one-way ticket, and that's it.
Okay.
Because I tried this week. This is what happened now. I booked a return ticket with the idea that I had to go home 2 days ago. Yeah, it was, because I thought, okay, I have to go back home for studying and work. And then I was here and I was talking with people, and I realized, but why? Like, I don't have to go back home. And I kind of, coming here and meeting people that also kind of got stuck here. Okay. Made me realize I don't.
But the great thing is about us, we can always move on.
Yeah.
If we don't like where we're at, or the people aren't don't turn out to be decent or whatever, we can just move. So that's a good option. Is it the destination or the journey between the destinations that you really like?
The journey between, for sure.
Okay, why is that?
Well, I think, having no plan, that actually means you don't have a destination, I think.
Okay.
And I think that's even the best thing, just not having a destination and just go where life brings you, where the people you meet bring you, where...
Do you know what they say? If you don't make any plans, you're not lost. These days, you can actually go onto the internet and look up a destination and see absolutely everything. So you almost know about it before you get there.
Yeah.
And the journey between is the most unpredictable part. When you're on a bus or a train, you can look out of the window and you can see things like the farming, the weather, the villages, how the people dress, all those sort of things. And that you can get your own picture without having to read it in A Lonely Planet or watch it on a documentary. And I think that's gives you a better understanding of the country that you're going into.
True. And
stuff like that. So, but I use them because it's just a great way of transport to get you from A to B. It's usually cheap. Look out the window or go to sleep. What countries have you visited?
The countries I've visited alone, let's say that.
Okay, you can say throughout your life.
Well, that's a little hard. I think. Well, let's start with the countries I visited alone. Was Australia for almost 8 months. Then I went to Vietnam, Cambodia, also been to Bali.
Hi girls, just doing a little interview here. He's mad. He's mad. He's like cracked. He's one of those nutters. When you're travelling, there's always one in every town.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any funny stories about travelling?
Funny stories. Well, last year I was in Georgia, the country, not the States. And I was there for about a month. Well, also a little bit without a plan. And I met this girl from Poland. And we really spontaneously decided to do this trekking of 5 days. Which was it was crazy. It was a really remote place. According to BBC, you had to get there by one of the world's most dangerous roads. Oh, wow. So, but we got there, and then we started to do this on the way. Well, it was in the Caucasus Mountains.
Caucasus, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's close to the border of Russia. Well, there was the border police there. We had to show our passports and everything. And I think these men, it was so remote there, they didn't see a lot of people there around there, especially women, I think.
Oh, okay.
So,
especially blonde ladies.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But they're very hospitable in Georgia. But sometimes a little bit too much, maybe you could say. Sometimes you get the feeling you can't really say no. But these men were really sweet. It was quite cold there, so they invited us inside. They made like a cup of tea and everything.
What language did you communicate in?
Well, just
sign language.
Just sign language, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and trying to say things in English, maybe some words that they knew.
How did you say 2 sugars for the tea?
I think I would say like 2 with my hands, and then just point at the coffee or the
coffee,
tea or the.
And how was it? Did it taste okay?
Well, I actually didn't put sugar in it because I thought it was a little bit too much trouble to ask, I think.
Yeah.
But then they came with this. They wanted to give us food, and so they came with this whole big box, and they put all this food in there, and then they brought this cha-cha. And cha-cha is a very, very strong alcoholic drink in Georgia. And they offered this to us. I think sometimes it's even 70% alcohol. And we had to hike the next day, like a long way. And they came with all this food and stuff to our tent, which was really sweet and really nice. So they came to sit with us, and they gave us all this food and cha-cha. And I felt like, okay, I want to have a little bit, but I also do want to sleep and not be hangover tomorrow doing this crazy hike.
And not offend them.
Exactly.
It's very difficult to know the balance between if somebody offers you food and you know it's going to kill you, you still have to accept it, otherwise you offend them. And
True. And I also had an amazing time, and it was really nice to meet these people. And that's interesting because they're very hospitable there. And it's so different than
it could have been worse because you're on your own and you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Do you have any bad stories about travelling that you've picked up along the way?
I did have one almost that experience. It's not a very exciting one, but I also met some people again. We rent a van, and while we were driving, the girl that I met there that was driving, she didn't watch well, and then we almost fell off a cliff with the van. And the van was just like, I think, almost 45 degrees, like on the side.
Where was this?
Well, this was in Australia, actually, on the Great Ocean Road.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so scary because we got out and we were so lucky, and then they had to
How far was the drop?
Too far, I think. If we rolled over, and Well, the thing was, we were actually just scared that because they were gonna try to pull the van out.
Yes.
But the thing was, if the van turned around, like if the top of it was damaged, we had to pay a lot of money.
Yeah,
if it didn't happen, we didn't. So
Wow.
we were just there being really scared.
How did you get into that situation? Did you just drive too far or too close to the edge, or?
Well, yeah, actually the girl that was driving, she turned around to get something while she was driving, and then she pulled over, and it was too late to,
Scary.
get it back.
Scary.
And,
Then again, you wouldn't be sitting here if it had possibly gone down
Yeah.
over the cliff. Okay, hammocks, tents, hostels, hotels. What's your preference?
Oh, in the first place, I would say hostels, specifically because it's easy to meet people, and it's also, I think it's easy, well, as you said before, it's not, nowadays it's really easy to Google to find out a lot about a place, but I think always the best thing is just to go to a hostel, talk with people that have already been around for a while, and it's a good way to...
You pick up a lot of information from other guests.
Yeah.
Whether it's going forward or other places not to go to, or don't go to that hostel, or that hostel's really good.
I have to also say, like, for example, camping gives a really new dimension also to traveling, because I think that makes just staying in a tent, you can put it up anywhere. If you enjoy nature, if you like nature, you can find the best, most beautiful spots.
Yeah, you can get into some places, especially in Australia, and you can sleep anywhere. Yeah, you can wake up with the sun coming up, and it's just absolutely awesome. I actually slept outside. I didn't use a tent for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And just slept on the ground.
It's, for example, in the outback in Australia, if you have these beautiful night skies, wow.
Yeah. Just sleep in a sleeping bag on a mat.
Yeah.
I didn't have a sleeping bag. I just rolled myself up in a tarp. What is the one thing that you always carry with you when you travel?
Well, now it is a mask.
It's a mask?
Because of Corona.
Okay.
But I think you don't need much. I think if you... well, you do need money, I think. You do need to at least get around. Just have your wallet with you, but
there's nothing, no one
Something
thing
specific.
you take with you?
Well, I do take like a journal and a pen. I always have a pen with me.
So old school writing,
Yes.
making a diary, that's very good. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic. If a young person came to you and said, I have 2 weeks to go travelling, what advice would you give them?
Definitely don't go too many places.
Okay.
Stay around in just a small area. Of course, you can explore around there. Maybe choose one. Well, depends on if you like a city or if you like more rural areas or whatever your preference is. But just don't think too big and be like, okay, I have my checklist and I need to have seen this and I need to have seen that and I need to have seen that. Because then you forget to live. And I feel like traveling is just, it's living.
Yeah, but it's experiencing the moment.
Yes.
A lot of people want to see too much too fast.
Yeah.
And the best thing is actually to get to know your own country first.
Yeah.
As a young person, and then spread out from there. Okay, here's a question. Well, how do you think coronavirus has affected travelling now? Because everywhere is closed down.
To be honest, I feel like it made me hesitate about traveling, about going, but more because I felt the pressure of the people around me that maybe don't agree with the fact that I'm traveling. But I just realized it's just a different way of
seeing the world.
Yeah, it is really
viewing the world, rather.
Yeah, because you can look from this medical perspective. But even if you think about the whole situation with Corona, I think you can even see it in a way that I'm now supporting the economy here.
Yes,
I mean, the people don't have any. There are not a lot of tourists here, and they do, well, not completely depend on it, but it's a big source of income.
Well, the hostel, I was talking to the hostel owner, or I think he was a hostel owner, and he said at one point they were down 60% on the profit.
Wow.
You know, and they had to close for 3 months solid, but they lost all that. So it's affecting a lot of businesses, and a lot of albergues and guest houses and hostels have closed for good.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I do have the feeling that people start to realize that it's just one way of seeing it, the way we're treating this situation now from this medical perspective. And I think people realize that there are a lot of different values you can think of. And, you know, even mental health, I feel like I really just needed to get away.
But if you're mental in the first place, it won't make any difference.
If you're mental in the first place.
Yeah, the secret is to be nuts or to be mental in the first place.
True.
And then you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so the coronavirus or pandemic clears and the world basically opens up again. Do you think people will be more hesitant to travel, or they'll travel more? I don't know. How do you see it?
I think in the first place, maybe people are more hesitant. I think it will take a while. But I think, maybe indeed people will travel more because I think they realize how much freedom they do have and that they will go out and will go explore and will, maybe they do. It makes them feel the need more to go traveling. Could be. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it makes people appreciate their life more.
Yeah.
And in less on the material stuff and more on the spiritual and the emotional side of life.
Yeah.
And so I think travelling brings that in. I think a lot of people out there are wanting to come out and travel, but are a little bit scared at the moment. But I think when the coronavirus is done, they'll reevaluate their lives. And I think a lot of people who are living in cities will now live in the country or go and try and find other ways of living, because cities are the worst place for pandemics.
True.
And I think they may just reevaluate their lives. What message would you give to other female travellers out there?
Don't let it influence your decision on traveling or not. That first of all. And of course you shouldn't be naive. I think it's you always have to be careful, but as I said before, like in any place you have to be careful, even back home.
But the thing about being back home is actually you grow up with it and you know the dangers and you know what's happening. But when you travel, there are unseen dangers that you have to try and preempt. You have to try and stop before they happen, because you could put yourself into a dodgy situation. But I'm just saying that as you get older, you learn that. You learn that as you travel.
Yeah.
And I think you could be safe. And you say you haven't had any real bad experiences while travelling?
I feel, but the thing is, for some reason, I never really had bad experiences. And I feel like your attitude.
Yeah, okay.
It just helps, or it's just.
But could you be tough?
Yeah, would you say like getting lost doesn't feel like really being lost, especially if you don't have any plans or anything, and it feels
that's right, yeah.
Just being confident in that, confident in traveling. I have the feeling people feel this, and I never really had any really bad experiences, to be honest.
But there's been some absolutely great female explorers in the world who have often travelled on their own.
So I even used couch surfing, and I stayed with 3 men even. And one time was with another friend of mine. I don't know if you really should take my advice, because maybe sometimes I do take risks.
But it's an option.
It is an option.
It's one that I don't particularly like, but if it's an option and you feel safe with it and you haven't had any problems, I think it could be a way to go. And again, you don't have to stay with men. You could stay with other women, couldn't you?
True, exactly. That's the thing, because I took this risk, but I think it's you can make decisions in that and just stay with women, or
do you think you're too trusting?
Sometimes, but I feel like traveling just makes me realize how many good people there are in the world, and I think when I'm back home, I have the feeling there's more focus on people being naturally bad. When you're raised by your parents, I think like this big angry world out there.
Yes, that's right. And I think they're just trying to protect you, but
which is good. But sometimes it's, I think, worth to trust people a little bit more.
Okay.
And of course, there's always a chance that it goes wrong. And maybe I'm a little bit too trustworthy sometimes. But,
we'll see, because we'll keep in touch and we'll see what happens. If you get put in prison, just send me a message and I'll come and get you out. Okay. Thank you very much for the interview. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you travel safely.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. And please remember, the same road can be travelled 1,000 different ways. So get out there and make it your own. Until next week.